Wow. So yeah, I think that's a good point. We need to get a basis for understanding relations. Then we can use a different process to be more efficient doing that, I think. Yes.
Well, it's just like with my older son, who's ADHD, plus he's fetal alcohol, and division, they wanted him to memorize. They wouldn't let him use a calculator because they told him he couldn't use one. So when it came to division, we used to get piles of beans and put a pile of beans in front of him. Okay, now break it down into 5 piles, one at a time. And then how many piles, how many are in each pile, to show him, you know. And he finally came up with it. He finally understood it. But I think unfortunately, our education system doesn't always do that.
Sometimes kids really need that step-by-step approach, that basic foundational information, and they can build on it for sure. And then we need to, like I mentioned earlier, we all start with trying to figure out how letters combine together to form certain sounds, and then how those sounds make a word. That we all start off that way, but if we get stuck like that in 4th grade, trying to sound out every word that we see, although we need to do that sometimes with words that we haven't seen before, but kids will sort of divert their attention to be able to remember what they've seen before if they get stuck in that pattern. So if they get stuck on a counting pattern for number information, then it's going to be less effective when they get to more complex information.
But you can pull it back away from there too.
Yes.
You started that way.
That's exactly right.
And no matter what things I was teaching, I tried to start it that way and then
that's
pull it back.
perfect. Yes, that's exactly what I think is important and very successful.
And I think there's just a lot of people that don't do that.
Yes.
What ages? Like everybody's talking early intervention. What it would be like the starting age for a kid to go to vision therapy? Let's say you notice your toddler is having balance issues or difficulty talking. You know what I
Sure.
mean? When would you say, okay, let's go get a vision therapy evaluation?
Perfect. That's actually good because the earlier the better, as we all know, because we get off in a direction that might be inappropriate and we reinforce those inappropriate responses, basically.
And then how late? Like, is this for people of all ages?
I hope.
Yes. Yeah, so, like,
It has
and it's
proved
just
to be
because-
in my case.
okay.
Well, why don't you explain what your case was?
My case was that I have a regular appointment with my ophthalmologist, and I've worked with him for years. And the last time I went in for an eye exam, or the time before I saw him, I went in for an eye exam. They did the routine eye exam, and she goes, I'm going to have to notify the license department before your next renewal because your total vision is 20/50, 20/60. And I said, you're kidding. And she said, no. And I said, well, I am having a little trouble reading. So I thought maybe I needed a prescription increase. No, your vision has deteriorated to that point. I said, well, I had pneumonia. Would that matter? I mean, would that, I'm just feeling crummy. Would that make any effect? No. Vision is vision. And when you look through this, blah, blah, that's what it is. Now, you can come back just before your driver's license is renewed. No pressure here. And we can test you again and to see if you have improved. And I thought, no, that just doesn't sound right. So I knew about vision therapy because a friend of mine, and I think he was 18 when he came to see 17, and he was having trouble because words were falling off and they jumped around. Well, I have that problem. But I didn't think about that as far as eye testing, because you're looking at individual letters. They don't have a chance to jump, etc. But anyway, I thought, okay, it's make or break. I'm just going to go in and talk to him and see if there is something he can do for me, because even if it's a minor amount and he can get me back to drivability, that's terrific. So it was a very long examination. I don't know how long we spent, an hour and a half.
Probably about an hour and a half.
Quite a while. But it was just having me read on the computer while he watched me. And then I told him what I had read, but had certain questions about it, and he told me up front that he was trying to determine if I was backtracking, if I was not using my eyes efficiently. Then he tested my eyes in several different ways, and one thing that he told me that really helped is don't strain. Just give me what you see. Just tell me what you see. Don't, because I would sit there and look at it and say, well, that's kind of a round letter. Let's see, does it have any little tails? Could it be an O? Could it be a,
We're real good guessers.
and sometimes not so much. And then when we finished, he said, well, he really didn't see that much of a problem, except my current glasses were too strong. And I said, here, I thought I needed more vision. And he said, no. So I'm wearing a set back from my current prescribed glasses. And I'm doing just fine. I'm reading the whole thing. But
You're driving.
and I am driving. And so I went down and took my driver's test and said, okay, I have trouble with your machines, but I have it in writing. So I would like to try, but if I don't pass your machine, I want my license. Because when he tested me, he got 20, 30, and 20, 40. Now that's a big difference between
Oh, yeah.
nearly blind
Yeah.
get your dog, So, but part of the examination was that he gave me exercises to do. These are simple hand exercises to balance your hemispheres so your eyes are working together. And then we used the vision light, which 15 minutes a day, I just went into a darkened room. I used my computer room, just blocked off the window, and looked at the light, not directly at it, but just let it focus. And while I was doing something else, I meditated and did other things, but I guess you could do anything. And with all that, I did get my license. I'm reading fine. Words are not jumping around. So
That's
sometimes it's just, they've got you,
Thank you.
Thank
your
you.
vision
Thank
is
you.
overcorrected,
I have
not
that.
undercorrected.
Double vision.
Yes.
For the kids, doing the kids.
There
Thank
you
you.
go. Okay, yes.
Thank you.
You bet.
So I have a question now from that, is my 13-year-old daughter, the last 2 years, every 6 months she's needed a change in prescription in her glasses, which concerns me. And they were just saying she's growing and changing and her eyeballs growing and changing in shape. So could vision therapy help slow that down or correct that?
Possibly, it could be that depends, is she a big reader?
Yeah.
So there could be some relationship if there's inefficiencies with having the eyes maintain that position for a long period of time. Again, this focused demonstration with the eyes using a lot of energy for close-up and not being able to relax to see clearly for distance. That could influence that type of pattern. Now, does your husband wear glasses?
Yeah.
Strong.
No, he only just started wearing glasses in the last 5 years.
Okay, so
But I had really bad,
So you
I couldn't see
did
distances,
surgery?
and then I had the surgery.
Okay, so it's probably your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I know.
No, actually,
You passed
no, there
on
is
that.
some hereditary influence,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
So she might be just following and
Oh,
having that
mama.
influence, yeah. What we tell our students is because even with efficient vision skills, the eyes are making these changes for sustained view and for close-up vision. So we encourage every couple of pages to have a little bookmark to remind the student when they're reading to look up. Look away, which relaxes the vision system for just a couple of seconds. Then move the bookmark a couple of pages in advance and then continue to read. Every 20 minutes, take a minute break. Again, to reduce that steady focused position and eye position that the person has to have for that type of task. So that's something.
Same with handheld
And
devices.
same with handheld devices, same with computers too.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
we get,
that was really important because when we finally discussed it, I had my computer setting way too high. I'm wearing bifocals.
Oh,
That's
right,
ridiculous.
right.
No wonder there was stress.
Exactly.
So, we measured and that worked out.
That's a very good point because, most of you have heard of ergonomics, which is just getting the body to be more balanced when we're doing things, and for computer work, we can't have any other stress on our bodies because that'll stress and that'll reduce our ability to keep on going comfortably.
Mhm.
So, and again, that shows, and that's another example that we're trying to work in a balanced fashion for the most efficiency, most comfort. And so,
But that is something my eye specialist didn't tell me.
mhm.
They didn't say, okay, well, where are you reading your book? What
Mhm.
distance are you reading?
Mhm.
He's the first doctor I've ever been to, I'm 72. He's the first doctor I've ever been to that said, and what position do you read your books in? And I said, well,
Upside down.
because it makes a tremendous difference. And the physical thing, because I had been ill, I told them I'd been ill, and they just said, poo-poo, we don't care.
Yeah.
And he said it did make a tremendous amount of difference, because if you're not feeling well, obviously you've got congestion, you've got swelling, your eyes are not going to be in tip-top
Sure.
shape either.
Sure, that makes sense. So if a little toe is hurting, it's going to affect other body systems.
Isn't that disgusting?
Yeah, I know. So keep healthy. That's the main thing.
I have another question.
Yes. Okay. No problem.
So I have family in the UK. Is
Okay.
this called something different?
Actually, not. They're,
Internationally? Or does it have many names?
no, actually, it's really the Europeans, English, in other parts of the world, Australia, New Zealand, there is more connection with this information.
Mhm.
And so they're starting to provide that service in those other places as well. Not as, even, the U.S., there's a limited amount of practitioners really involved in this area. It's even less in these other countries. But I've met people from England, from Belgium, from Spain, from Australia. I mean, there's people at these different meetings that really want to give information and understand this so they can provide a very significant service. Well, let me leave these here, and it's been great. It's been hopefully.
Thank you so much.
I didn't put too many people to sleep, which is good. So-